Divorcing your partner or divorcing your old self is one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. Adrianna Onubogu is an expert in helping high achieving women that are in leadership roles to excel further after having dealt with a divorce. So I'm so excited to have you here. Please tell us what's the secret to your success and tell us a bit about your journey to becoming successful and helping thousands of women to become better after a divorce. Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this. This journey for me started through my own divorce. Prior to being a divorcee, I was actually a teen mom. And I went from being a teen mom to a single mom to a married woman that had 2 more kids and went through a divorce. And after that, becoming a divorcee with 3 children. So I went through a serious transformation of trying to understand where I went wrong as a high achieving woman who bought her house at 21 years old, who was an assistant manager for a finance company. I just, for the life of me, couldn't understand how I was achieving such amazingness in one area, but not in the other. So from there, I went through this process that I now actually coach and help women. It's a 90-day process where you focus a lot on rising, resetting, and rebuilding so that you can truly understand how the heck you got here, what you need to do, and understanding that you can still excel no matter what it is your situation or your story might be.
Thank you. Now tell us a bit more about your achievements.
Yes. So I am a life and transformation coach. I'm also an author. I'm a wife as well. I've gotten remarried. And I coach women who are in this transitioning stage of their lives. And they're trying to kind of catapult to the next chapter, but there's something blocking them. And typically with high achieving women, a lot of the times we know how to lead and work, but we don't know how to love at home. So I help them find the balance between the two. As someone who's had to do that myself, I was, like I said before, I was an assistant manager for a finance company. I worked for the state patrol as a dispatcher. I was able to buy my house at 21 years old. I was able to do these amazing things, buy my car off the lot. But I learned that none of those things mean anything if you do not know who you are as a woman without those titles.
Thank you. For those entrepreneurial women that want to divorce their old self, or if they want to divorce someone, what advice do you have for them in terms of what steps should they take in order to regain that authentic self that makes them feel alive?
Yes, that's a really good question. So for one, if you're divorcing yourself from those bad habits or you're just trying to figure out who you want to be, I would start with trying to understand how you got where you are today and what your new life looks like. And when you can figure out what that life looks like, try to understand, well, what kind of woman walks into that life? Well, how does she dress? How does she take care of herself? How does she connect with other people? And most importantly, how does she connect with herself? When you're able to start pinpointing those things, it helps you truly divorce and shed the old version of you and allow yourself to step into this new transformed woman. Now, when you're trying to divorce someone, that one's a bit more emotional. That one's a bit more tricky because a lot of times there's kids involved. There are businesses that have been built, lives that have been entangled, and things like that. I would tell anyone, because although I'm a divorce coach, I'm not an advocate for divorce. I believe a lot of marriages can work out if you are with the right person. Unfortunately, most of my clients, none of them were with the right person from the beginning. I've never had a client tell me, oh, my husband is the one that got away. It's usually, I knew I should have never been with him, but I did it because of X, Y, Z. So when you can sit back and think about why you're staying, and it doesn't have anything to do with kids or business, and you don't really either have an answer or your answer has more to do with someone else instead of yourself, those are things that you should consider when you are thinking about divorce, because a lot of times we'll say, well, I can't because of this. And usually the because of this is not because of us.
Thank you. Now, a lot of the reasons why people tend to stay together despite not being in that perfect relationship that they truly desire. For women, it tends to be for safety. And I think for men, it tends to be for comfort. I could be wrong there because you're the expert. And so I do wonder, how can entrepreneurial women regain that feeling of safety on their own after divorce in a way that they're able to thrive and not collapse their business after a divorce?
So I guess it depends on what we're referring to when we say safety, because typically for entrepreneurial women, safety isn't financial. Safety might be emotional, right? So if we're talking about emotional safety and that vulnerability, because our walls go way up when we're that high achieving woman who's, it's like, nope, now I don't want you throwing me off my game. I don't want any of these things anymore. I don't want a distraction. The emotional safety that they will desire is not always necessarily attached to the previous relationship. It's within ourselves, or at least it should be, because in order for someone else to make us feel safe, we do have to practice that within ourselves. We have to practice being vulnerable, emotionally intelligent, and also feminine. These are things that have nothing to do with anyone else but ourselves first. So if you're able to do that within yourself first, whether you go through a major breakup or divorce, that part of you, that core part of you, should still stay intact.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurial women regain that emotional safety? What kind of steps or routines or habits should they take in order to kind of regain that emotional safety? And let's assume that they don't have financial safety either, where they're, let's say, maybe they're earning a little bit less than the husband, and let's say maybe the children have a certain lifestyle, like an upper lifestyle. So it's a difficult decision to take because maybe the mothers are thinking, wow, if I divorce this guy, therefore my children may not be able to continue going to a boarding school, or to, I don't know, to have their preferred clothes, or to go out with their friends. I don't know, whatever else that can be impacted by that. So they have perhaps less emotional safety, but also financial safety. What can entrepreneurial women do to regain that emotional safety and financial safety on their own?
So I'm glad you asked that, because most of my clients, I have different types of clients. Some of them deal with one or the other. Like you said, it's financial or it's emotional. Now, when it's financial, I always encourage them, especially if you're still within the marriage, but you see that this probably will not end well. I encourage them to go full force in whatever that thing is, that passion that they have, that business, to do it while they do still have that safety net within the marriage. Not that you necessarily have to plot and plan to leave, but you do have to make sure that your kids and yourself are safe and you're able to take care of everyone just in case he's not able to hold up his end of the bargain. I would encourage them. Most of the women who end up relying financially on their husbands and stay a little bit longer because of it, I tell them immediately, we need to figure out, what is your purpose? Outside of being a wife and a mom, what are you good at? What do you like to do? Because that is what we need to do to create your stability. It all comes down to being able to do things and take care of yourself by yourself. So when it comes to the emotional stuff, it might sound a little cliche, but what helps a lot is journaling. We have to start questioning everything. Why am I here? How did I end up here? What did I miss? And how can I start trusting myself again? Because the biggest issue with situations like that is we lose our ability to feel like we can make proper decisions. So we have to work on pinpointing every single thing and getting to a point where we're able to say, you know what, I recognize that I could have done this. Instead, I did this. So in order for me to build trust within myself and take those leaps moving forward, let's do baby steps. Let's start trusting myself with making small decisions, like saying no. Even when I want to say yes because I want to help somebody else. Let's care more about ourselves and our ability to feel fulfilled and not please anyone else, including our kids. Let's put ourselves first for a change so that we can rebuild that emotional security and trust within ourselves.
Thank you. What kind of steps do you suggest entrepreneurial women take as soon as they have divorced?
Oh my goodness. I suggest they feel everything. Do not dive into work. Do not just throw a divorce party. Just feel. Feel everything. And you're going to feel so many things and know that it is okay. You will be surprised at the anger, the resentment, or maybe you miss him. Maybe you have so many different feelings. And the main thing I want every woman, entrepreneurial women that are going through something like that, is to not act like it doesn't matter. Don't act like it doesn't affect you. Embrace every single feeling you have and acknowledge why. Where is this anger coming from? Is it because of what you felt like he promised you? Is it because of what you felt like you promised your kids? Where are these feelings coming from so that you can identify them instead of hide them? Because then it takes you so much longer to actually heal.
Thank you. I assume that divorcing must feel a little bit like a death of some sort, because it's the death of a massive project, death of a massive commitment that you've made to yourself and to another person. So I'm assuming that entrepreneurial women going through divorces are feeling perhaps a little bit like a failure, or if not like a failure, if they feel like a massive project in their life has failed.
Yeah.
So the emotional toll, I think, must be the hardest thing they can cope with. So what do you suggest they do in order to bring themselves up, to be positive again, to kind of see themselves in a better light, to appreciate their beauty again, to allow themselves to be, sexy or attractive again, to feel wanted and loved, to feel, like they can have a new chance at life?
Yes. Another great question. So, believe it or not, something that I require and I make my clients do over and over and over again is like writing and journaling how they feel. So, when a woman is going through something like that, you're right. The emotional toll will make you question your self-worth, your self-esteem. It'll have your mind flipped upside down. So the best thing that you can do again is to pinpoint, where is this feeling coming from? Do you feel this way because he told you you're nothing without him? Do you feel this way because you feel like you failed? And what did you fail at? And I would tell them to not be so hard on yourself, to give yourself grace, because a marriage can only work if two people want it to. And no matter what your intentions were, if you were with the wrong person, it was never going to work. The best thing that you can do is get to a point where you feel all of the things. And it's okay to question, am I still beautiful? Am I still worthy? Will someone love me? Am I the problem? It's okay to feel those things. But the most important thing to do is, after you feel it, you let it go. And you continue to work on yourself and you continue to answer those questions. Well, why don't I feel beautiful? When was the last time I felt beautiful, and what makes me feel beautiful? Do I not take care of myself? Have I been putting other people before me? Is this a time now to say, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to put me first. I would really have them sit with themselves and just think, because entrepreneurial women, we love to act. We love to do. We love to solve. And sometimes it's not as quick and simple as that. Sometimes we do have to feel and we have to go through the motions and then say, you know what? It's not that I'm not beautiful. It's not that I'm not worthy. It's that I was tied to this person for so long that I lost my identity. So let's try to find it again.
Thank you. Would you agree that after a divorce, there is some sort of feeling of grief? So do divorcees tend to go through the 5 stages of grief, of, denial,
yes,
anger, frustration, stress, maybe, going on a binge, like either alcohol or drugs, or eating too much, or what else you could possibly do.
So, that is true. Yes.
So I wonder, what kind of steps would you recommend for entrepreneurial women to take in order to counteract those particular stages of grief, and to be able to kind of uplift their lives to come off better than actually during the marriage?
Yes, I will always suggest for entrepreneurial women to do the opposite of what they want to do. It is in our nature to want to do something, to want to go, like you said, oh, I'm going to just go start either buying stuff or drinking, or I'm going to just start going on a bunch of trips. I'm going to start just doing all these things. I would encourage them to do the opposite, because entrepreneurial women are ambitious, driven women who like to solve problems. But sometimes the things that you naturally want to do will not solve the problem, especially when it's emotional. So instead of going and splurging money just because you can, and um, doing all of these amazing, elaborate things, again, I would tell them, hold on a second. Just tell me, how do you feel? What do you think? Because entrepreneurial women don't always sit in their feelings. They don't. They sit in their logic. So everything that was listed is logical things to do. It makes sense. Well, I'm divorced now, so now I'm going to date. Don't do that. I'm divorced now. Now I'm going to do. No, don't do any logical thing. For the first time, sit with your feelings, as uncomfortable as they are. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. And when you get to a place where you can think about what you've experienced, and you don't feel the need to either relive it all over again, but instead reflect, that's when you start taking those steps to say, you know what? Okay, I want to spend some time with myself and do these things, because the intention behind it is different than you trying to get a quick fix. Entrepreneurial women, like I said, are driven. We solve problems, but it's the reason why it takes us so long to get married again, because we act and we do, and we are so uncomfortable with feeling sad, with feeling whatever grief it is. So I would encourage them to continue to sit in your feelings. There are no actions or steps that you can do that will fix how you feel besides you being vulnerable about how you feel. And after that, that is when we go into, okay, now let me figure out what things do I like, because I don't know anymore. Everything that I used to do was because of someone else, or was because of the kids, or because of my environment. So now let me actually take some time after work to change that routine, because now it's all about me.
Thank you. I wonder, what are some key steps to help divorcee women to uplift themselves? And the reason I ask is because I find typically it's just one thing. And what I mean by that is that there could be something really tiny that you love to do, whether it's, I don't know, ice skating that you haven't done in a long time.
Yes.
Dancing. It's an activity, right? So I do wonder whether there's anything in particular that you advise women to do, because it's almost like a domino piece. It's like you hit that domino and all of a sudden, it's almost like you're fixing all of your life with one thing. And for me, it tends to be exercise. But exercise, nothing that feels kind of like pushed or rushed, or I have to go to the gym. It has to be something that actually makes you feel good when you do it. So I wonder whether there's anything that's like a domino piece that you can just like hit that thing, like the one thing that will literally change everything. So if there was one thing that could change everything for divorcee women, what would you recommend?
So what I would say to them is, what is the thing that you stopped doing because you felt like you had to? And that's after we go through the motions and the feelings and we start reflecting, right? The answer is different for every single person that I've asked, every single one, myself included. So I would tell them, so what's stopping you now? And they'll have excuses. Oh, work, overtime, the kids, all these things, right? And I would tell them, by this day, I want you to go and do the thing that you just told me is so dear to your heart that you've neglected for so long, and then come back to me and tell me how you feel. That thing, like I said, for every woman is going to be different, but when they're able to actually put into action what redoing that thing that they've stopped doing, it is a domino effect. It is, and it gives them this aha moment of like, wow, I can't believe I haven't done this in so long. It makes me feel alive. It gives me purpose again. It makes me feel fulfilled. So that one thing differs from woman to woman, but it does come with the question of, what have you been laying dormant?
Thank you. I love that. Is there anything you recommend divorcee entrepreneurial women that are high achievers do in order to change the balance of feminine and masculine energy? Because I find that a lot of really successful women are in their masculine energy all of the time. And I wonder if there's anything you recommend so they can kind of like vibrate more towards becoming more feminine, and therefore kind of like migrating towards a relationship where they feel nurtured, they feel recognized, they feel appreciated, they're in their receiving energy.
Mm.
They don't feel the need to pick up the tab or to be, going 50-50 all the time, or I don't know. What is it that you recommend for that?
Yes, I recommend them understand who they are outside of their title. A lot of times that title is so strong and we love the title and the title is amazing. But if the only thing that you know about yourself is that you are a boss, you are a leader, you make things happen, you solve problems, you're that person, you're that reliable person, you can't switch over because you don't know what the other side looks like. So I would implore them to, again, do kind of the opposite of what they naturally want to do in certain situations, right? You naturally might want to pick up the tab because I got it. I have money. It's not a big deal. But you don't know, with doing that, it means you don't know how to let someone even offer or to present something to you because you're so ready to just take control of the situation that you handle it, right? Something even as simple as when you go to the store, the grocery store, and someone says, "Do you need help with that?" Instead of saying no, say yes. Get familiar with allowing someone to just help you and you not fight them. And I think the biggest thing is there's nothing wrong with us operating in our masculine energy. I want women to understand that. It's beautiful. We're supposed to dominate on both ends. The problem is when we have too much of either one. When you are too masculine, we kind of know how that goes. It doesn't really go too well in certain areas like personal relationships, but it's amazing in work relationships. When you are extremely feminine, it may not always be the best thing in either personal relationships or business because you have to have some type of balance. With women who thrive in their masculinity, the one thing that they're missing a lot of times is emotional intelligence. They can't connect. They don't understand anything outside of themselves because it doesn't make sense to them because they're always operating in logic. So I would recommend them practicing connecting on a deeper level outside of who they are at work, outside of the positions and titles, and more of who they are as women. There's a lot of amazing women who know how to have the balance, but it's a struggle because we don't have a lot of representation. But those powerful women who are in the boardroom and they're doing their thing can also be women who know how to say, you know what, I'm not doing anything when I get home. Let me make sure I have some help. Let me make sure someone comes and does things for me, or that I just accept people loving on me without pushback. So I would challenge them to learn how to be still and not solve problems all the time, because one, it's exhausting and you are so much more than someone's problem solver.
Thank you. For entrepreneurial women who are making more money than their husband, what do you suggest they do in terms of managing that relationship so that once they've divorced, let's say, the entrepreneurial woman doesn't kind of fall into that same pattern and doesn't struggle with that?
So I think the biggest thing, if you are in a relationship with someone that makes that and you make more money than them, it comes down to what you value, because there's some women who don't mind making more money as long as the man is doing the other things. So if you go through a divorce and you want to either eliminate that being a problem, I would suggest really knowing how to vet the next person and having them understand, like, hey, these are the things that I value. Money is not a problem for me, but this, and this is a problem for me. So really talking through what you value, but you have to know who you are first to know what you value. Because one of the reasons that I believe high achieving entrepreneurial women go through a divorce and when they are just at the top of their game is because many times we pick men who complement the other things that we think we don't need. And what I mean when I say that is when you have money as a woman, you are not necessarily looking for a man to have money in that sense. You're looking for something else. You're looking for like emotional fulfillment. You're looking for someone who will be a good dad. You're looking for other things, someone who's just nice. But sometimes we forget that a man having money is equivalent to him being extremely confident, which is what we need as high achieving women that allow us to respect him. If he doesn't have that, we will constantly go through divorce because we will not respect him. We will not be able to be feminine. We will constantly be in our masculine because we said, oh, I have money. It's okay. I'm just going to let him do these other things. But we don't realize that that comes with disrespect because we want somebody who's able to be just as much as a high achiever as we are.
Thank you. For women that are gorgeous, really successful, fun, exciting, making a lot of money, like seeming to kind of like tick all the boxes, how can they reinvent their life after divorce where they feel like they're too intimidating for a lot of guys?
Honestly, the being too intimidating thing is more of a guy problem than it is a her problem. If she is this beautiful, amazing woman and her character as a woman matches that, she will not have issues running into intentional men because intentional men love beautiful, driven women. The problem is if she has all those things and a very nasty attitude.
Thank you. What do you suggest for entrepreneurial women that have perhaps let themselves go in terms of maybe focus so much on work and, made a lot of money and achieved great success and achieved, created companies that are innovative and made multi-millions, but have perhaps not looked so much at their appearance, have, let their body go and this kind of thing. What do you suggest they do in terms of ensuring that they can reinvent their life after divorce?
It is imperative that if you've let yourself go, you have to find her again, because whether you're trying to date or not, you will never be in a successful romantic or platonic relationship with anybody if you don't have it first with yourself. I understand making the money and having those amazing things, but you won't be happy with yourself because you won't like what you see in the mirror. You'll like what you see in your bank account, but you won't like what you see in the mirror. It's imperative. I employ her. I would tell any woman, yes, the achievements are great, but do you like you? If you don't like you, if you look at yourself and you kind of cringe a little bit, if you compare yourself to other women, if you don't feel happy within with all your success, you have to work on you. You have to take time for yourself. We cannot sacrifice ourselves anymore for success because there's a healthy way to have that balance. And it's really knowing when to rest, not feeling like you'll sleep when you're dead, but knowing that it's okay to take time because your body needs to recharge. There's no excuse. You have to take care of yourself. That's just it.
Thank you. What other steps do you recommend entrepreneurial women take in order to reinvent themselves after divorce?
Yes. So one of the key things I think is being able to reconnect with who you are, not focus too much on who you used to be, because now you're a wiser woman that understands marriage, relationships, and likely, hopefully, yourself in a completely different way that will allow you to have this wisdom that creates better, meaningful relationships with friends, family, and men when you're ready. I would tell her to make sure that because of this divorce, she either A, does not allow it to hold her hostage emotionally, and instead use it as a blueprint for her to find the real love of her life after finding love within herself.
Thank you. What other routines and habits do you recommend entrepreneurial women leverage after divorce?
Taking a break. Oh my goodness, it's so important. It seems so basic and so cliche, but please rest. I've seen too many of my clients get to 45 plus and all of the hard work they've done is now showing on their bodies. And it's not fair. I really want these high achieving entrepreneurial women after divorce to know, for one, your life is not over. There's so much. You haven't even seen what life has to offer. There's so much more than what you've experienced. So please do not allow limiting beliefs to keep you from accepting this new life, assuming that it's going to be filled with your past life, because it's not. There are men that will love you for the woman that you are who you're coming into. There are friends that will love you for the wisdom that you've gained. Your kids will love you for putting yourself first. There's so much joy at the end of this. So please rest, charge your body, and allow yourself to just really step into this new stage of your life with grace.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Adrianna Onubogu, as well as my website, www.adriannaonubogu.com.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.